Pluto is moving into Aquarius. We are in for a shakeup. We are in for a ride. It is seismically, cosmically shifting us all. And in this video, I'm breaking it all down for us. Stay with me and let's get to it. Welcome, beloved souls. Welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Vivía, and this is my channel, Your Soul as Well, where I use astrology to help us navigate our shifting and exciting and sometimes turbulent times. If you like the content I'm making and you want to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel, hit like, leave a comment. Do not forget to hit the notification bell because I'm uploading regularly and I would not want you to miss an upload. Today, we're talking all about Pluto. That's right, Pluto. Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto moved in for its last and final time into Aquarius on November 19th of 2024, where it will stay until mid-January of 2044. So 20 years, we have 20 years of Pluto in Aquarius proper. That's a long time. So we can expect major shifts within the collective, all of our society, our institutions. We can just expect massive and deep and profound change with Pluto going through Aquarius. Pluto deals with our psyche, the underworld, everything that is hidden from us, the subconscious or unconscious. It deals with death and destruction and life and rebirth, regeneration. It has ties to our DNA, our ancestry, and the past. It deals with power, our control, struggles, also our empowerment. It deals with underhandedness, the underbelly of any institution. Anything on the sly or being sketchy is under Pluto's domain. It deals with criminality. It deals with people in power, powerful people, your own sense of power. It's the planet that also has domain over purging. It's the natural ruler of the 8th house, the house of excretion and elimination with toxicity. It deals with anything hidden, so hidden resources, hidden wealth, riches, and anything under the ground that's hidden too, right? The underworld. All of these ancient gods like Hades, for example, is one that comes to mind. We're associated with this powerful Plutonian planet and holds that energy in the archetype. Pluto does represent the underworld and the underground, including the elemental, geological, instinctual, also anything hidden underground in our society, within politics, mythology, again, archetypal energies that hold the collective unconscious, tendencies and underhandedness and everything occulted, which means hidden. That's why it's placed there in the 8th house of the occulted, a hidden house. It deals with our sexuality and sex and fertilization, for regeneration, for rebirth. It holds very much the energy of the shaman. And Aquarius deals with networks and groups and friendships, large groups of peoples. It's the collective that way, seen through the lens of the collective that way, with institutions and groups of people gathering and networks of people, organizations of people. Aquarius is also the sign of innovation. It's the sign of the inventor. It's the sign of the future and inventing a new idea, a new technology for the future, new consciousness, new mindsets for the future that will take us into the future. And it's also always considered a little bit ahead of its time. It is the visionary and the revolutionist. Aquarius is also rebellious in nature, which goes hand in hand with its revolutionary instinct. Aquarius values freedom and independence. It strives for liberty. It is progressive in its values. It's very much, like I said, future thinking about the advancement of humanity, of the collective, of the groups that it belongs to. So very forward thinking. It is a sign of the humanitarian and has humanitarian values of wanting what is best for all of the people everywhere. It wants equality for humanity and all voices to be heard. Both Pluto and Aquarius wants your authentic self, and Pluto wants this too. So Aquarius wants people to discard their old ideas of self. self, the things they thought they were or who they thought they were, how they identify, what they rely on, and pare it all down to get to their authentic self. And that's what Pluto helps with too. And they want to start with the authentic self, to be genuine and to stand out in that uniqueness. Aquarius wants people to be their own unique, independent self within the greater context of the collective. And with Pluto in Aquarius, it's really about paring down anything, getting down to the core of who you really are and stripping away all that you are not to get to your true authentic expression of self and that actualization, to be unapologetically yourself, to embrace your quirkiness, your own passion, your unique voice, your powerful voice, and not conform to others or what others expect of you, not conform to societal beliefs or what your parents want for you or what your friends that are around you or peers, but just to really truly get to the core of who you are and express that. So there is greater individuality with Aquarius, and particularly Pluto in Aquarius is going to help us really transform through this so we can become our own unique individuals. Those of us who are already on the path will have a deeper sense of this, and for some people it might just be a start of this for them. It depends too on where it is in your own chart, what it will be doing. Aquarius brings a sense of discernment and objectivity, and Aquarius can be detached, and Pluto has a certain type of detachment as well. Aquarius is more the detachment and Pluto is more of an isolation factor. So the two of them together may be good for people who are just used to always being surrounded by other people and not having enough of their own time to be alone, to contemplate, meditate, to discover who they are. So that will be good for those people. Maybe hard. It might be a hard transition for people who never before have done this, but for other people, it's going to be great. And that might be one of the challenges with this though too, is that too much isolation, too much detachment. We always need balance. We always need the balance. With Pluto especially, Pluto is very polarizing. It likes the extremes. It rules over control and power and wanting to have control and power, and an obsession. It rules over obsession. And it, like I said, comes with that, a bit of that isolation. And again, it depends on where it is in your chart and how it's aspected, what sign it's in. There's a lot of things to consider with any planetary placement and with Pluto's planetary placement. So for some people, for example, Pluto in the 12th house, people might want naturally and be naturally guided to isolate themselves more from others, or in the 11th house, isolating from groups of people or friend groups. The symbol of Aquarius is a water bearer. The water bearer is washing away the past and cleaning away, making it ready and refreshing us for the newness that's coming and the future, the incoming future. The water represents many things. With Aquarius, it represents consciousness. It represents knowledge, gnosis, new elevated consciousness, higher consciousness, new visions perhaps of the future, new ideas, new possibilities, hope for a better future. Aquarius is interested in breaking with what is conventional and traditional in order to bring in the new future. It's also associated with technology and science, and as an air sign, it represents communication, information, and social connections. So with Pluto going through Aquarius, it will be just such a radical shift of humanity. It will be a breakdown of humanity, all that's not working within the collective, within the individual, to build it up, in order to build it up into something new, the better, brighter future, the higher consciousness, higher timeline, if you will. So the themes that we will be experiencing through this 20-year transit will be a complete transformation and rebirth of selves, our own selves, and of the society around that, and of our human species. So again, Pluto deconstructs, it strips away in order to transforming the person, the group. It depends for yourself. It depends on where it falls. And I will be going through all the signs as I did with the notes specifically, but where it falls in your chart and where the transit is in your chart will be relative to the area of your life that it's breaking down and it's seeking to transform into the higher consciousness of Aquarius. So it could be existing structures within society. It could be belief systems. It could be your job. It could be your family life. It could be your home life. It could be your groups. Again, anything, it's all up for transformation, for rebirth and renewal, regeneration. It can be difficult, right? Having to shed old layers of ourselves, release our own identities, our attachments to our egos, our attachments to our habits. Pluto also rules over habits, obsessions, addictions, obsessive thought. That's one thing I think that we'll have to deal with Pluto in Aquarius is obsessive thought. But the power lies in that transformative element. And if you can look at this in this transit will be easier for you if you can look at it through that lens of empowerment and an opportunity to reclaim your own personal power, and for the collective to reclaim our power back from these massive structures and industries and institutions that have taken over, conglomerates, and like started to rule the earth, the few ruling over the many. I'm sure you've heard that before. So yes, it's an opportunity for us to all reclaim our power, but with Pluto, we also have to be mindful to not abuse the power that Pluto gifts us with, because Pluto, that power is a gift from Pluto. Because Aquarius is associated with society, technology, and innovation, and Pluto's transit through Aquarius suggests upheaval in these areas. So things breaking down with all of these, things breaking down in society, things breaking down with technology, things breaking down with innovations of the past, particularly, in order to be built up and regenerated and brought forth new. Same thing with medicine and science. Pluto deals with amassed wealth, the stock markets, investments. So we can expect changes in these things and maybe crashes, and then also new energy being put forth to rebuild our society in a way that works more holistically for all involved, for all of the people. Aquarius too, its rulership is Uranus, and Uranus rules over air travel, avionics, and there's going to be massive change in this. I've heard people speak to supersonic light speed travel, warp speed travel, also ideas around old technologies emerging again, like the Hindenburg, or the word that comes to mind is that one that man made up, and Antiquitech. I don't remember his name right now, but hopefully I can find it and leave it for you in the description box. If you know who I'm speaking of, please just leave it in the comment. And on commenting, please comment what your experience thus far of Pluto through Aquarius has been. To change in aviation. And I've seen bringing back technology from our past and a rebirth of technology from our past. Pluto is always about letting go and surrendering. And I think it's brilliant that we're starting Pluto off. The first little tip of it. We're here with a year and a half of Pluto at the start, really, at the very start. The north node of the moon being in Pisces, which too is all about surrender and letting go and trusting the divine and having faith. And that too is Pluto. So I think that that's auspicious for us, very auspicious that we have a year and a half of benevolent energy that is even more helping us to let go, to drop, to open, to surrender, to let be what is, in order for our highest paths to emerge and our most authentic and true selves to be birthed. Resisting Pluto's transformative influence is considered futile and potentially destructive. The idea that comes to mind is from Star Trek, resistance is futile. That should be Pluto's slogan. Resistance is futile. You might eventually, Pluto will break you if you keep resisting. But if you work with Pluto, you can uncover such depths to your own psyche, to your own being. And those are gifts that Pluto gives us. Those are jewels underground, forged by the weight of earth, are plutonian, right? They don't get to form into jewels, into diamonds, into gemstones, unless the pressure is there and they're buried deep underground, hidden from the light of the sun. And that's Pluto. But resisting it will hurt you because it has domain over our subconscious, all of the unconscious. There's this tendency of not acknowledging it, then the shadow becoming our own demons. They will fester, and eventually we have to succumb to Pluto. We have to let that archetype blaze passes through our life, I look at it like a combine going through a field and churning the last crop up to fallow it, to prepare it for the next season's crop. And so we just need to purge out whatever is not working for us anymore in order to allow in what Pluto wants for us. And Pluto is the saying, I don't remember quite the exact quote, and I don't even know who said it first, but what is for you is for you, and nobody else can take it from you. So if Pluto is stripping stuff away from you, if Pluto is stripping stuff away from you, from your life, in whatever area of life it's working through, then just know it's because it's preparing you for what is really supposed to be in your life. It's the shedding of the snake. And again, very auspicious that we're in the year of the snake. And as the snake is all about shedding its skin in order to transform into the new snake with the new skin. So the key to Pluto is to be willing to release old patterns, old relationships, old identities, anything that no longer serves us. We need to be on guard for this and be willing to surrender and to shed that old skin. It's about karma and purging. Many people view it as Pluto, this transit being very karmic in nature. One, because it's Aquarius that deals with the collective. We're here together, collectively evolving. And because it's Pluto deals with, it deals with our ancestry in a lot of ways, our DNA, our past, our evolution forward, but our evolution backwards too, like what we have inherited as well from our ancestry, our memories, our psychic memories. I have talked about this, I think, in some videos. I can't remember now everything I've talked about, but many people on Earth have memory that is not associated with the current body that they embody. It's associated with past lives or ancestral memory, and a lot of this is going to start awakening in people who have never experienced this before. And it could be scary. People could be afraid of this. Pluto rules over our fears and our paranoias. And I just want to put that out there to people that if you start to remember things, like if you start to have memories of things that have not happened in this lifetime, it could be because you're awakening ancestral memory stored within you. I believe within our DNA, but I don't really know. And that's just a guess. In terms of our individuality and our authenticity, Pluto is just going to strip everything away that does not allow you to be your true authentic self. And it will encourage individuals to embrace their unique qualities and express themselves authentically. That will be easier for some than others. Some people are very comfortable with expressing themselves authentically and showing up uniquely as themselves. And for some people, this is going to be very difficult. For some people are not used to authenticity in our society. In general, we live in a very shallow and superficial society. I'm not talking about everybody in society. Of course, there's always variation in society. There's spectrum. There are people who are highly evolved, very well developed, truly authentic, genuine, deep. And then there are people who are very shallow, superficial, and care nothing for depth and authenticity. And then there is everything in between. So it's going to work on all of us at the level that we are at. And it only can work through us to the extent that we allow it to. The problem with trying to prevent Pluto from doing its work on us is that it can lead to crisis situations. Pluto has domain over crisis, and it might really affect our health in a negative way. It will bring up patterns of destruction. A person who fights Pluto and fights Pluto's transformation may end up going down routes of a possessiveness that they can't get out of. Obviously, any type of abuse of narcotics or addictions of any sorts or obsessions might be an avenue that some people choose rather than develop the self and actualize into unique and authenticity. Because Pluto works so much with the subconscious, many people through this transit are going to have things come up for them dealing with their childhood, their early childhood, how they were raised, their parentage. And I'm letting you know to be prepared for this. Sometimes at first the inklings could be subtle. They could just be very under the surface and not on our conscious radar. So just be prepared and be aware of this, because if you can catch the message from spirit, when it's just that first whisper, when it's just that first inkling, and you can work with that subtle information, it doesn't have to turn out to be a crisis. It doesn't have to turn out to be a loud voice and then a scream and then a 2x4 over the head. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be chaotic. It can be dealt with in a very evolved manner. With Pluto going through crisis, again, it all really depends on your own personal birth chart and what's happening in your own personal life. And on that, I want to tell you that I am a professional consulting astrologer. And if you would like to book me, please see the information in the description box on how to do that. For a lot of people, personal relationships will go through significant transformation and rebirth. Some relationships may end, some marriages may end, some investments may end, things to do with our society are going to end, certain things with medicine will end, certain, like I said, technologies will come to their conclusion as we invent new ones and move forward on the path that is best for humanity. It also is a very decentralized energy because Aquarius itself is decentralized, and Pluto going through it is going to help us in areas of innovating. What I've seen happen is just hubs around the world inventing their own technologies and groups of people. I think over time, we're going to start this process in this 20 years, but I don't think that it finishes in these 20 years. I think we have a lot ahead of us to do this, but in the future, I do see independent communities that are different now, different than what we have now, that work in hubs and are focused on their expertise and a drawing together of people. And people have said this already. I've listened to many people online talk about this, and just even within my own groups and things that I'm reading, just drawing together of like mind, but also frequency, right? It is really a lot to do with frequency, just honing in and finding the groups, people that you most are aligned with and connecting with them. And as we go forward, more and more of this will happen. But for some people, there will be endings. There will be endings in relationships. Through this process, there's also going to be a lot of ending and a lot of destruction of the old, because that is what Pluto does. And again, if we apply, as I just said, with us ourselves as individuals, the less that we resist Pluto, the easier that Pluto can work with us and just transform gracefully. It doesn't have to be chaotic. It's just that we resist. We resist this. Now, if we take that and we apply that to society or these institutions in general, it's the same thing. For example, the institutions that are willing, that can see they need to change and they need to adapt to what is coming and the trends, they will have an easier time with moving forward into the future and surviving into the future. And they too will go through a transformation process, a shedding of the old skin in order to embrace the new future. So that is happening. But the ones that resist, it will end up in the same fate as the individual. They will self-destruct. They won't be around in the future because all of the old needs to be purged. All the toxicity needs to be released now in order for the baby to be born, the new baby of humanity to be birthed. And just keep in mind that despite Pluto's overall associations with death and destruction, this actually still is a very optimistic time, because remember, only what needs to be tossed out, right, purged, is going to be rid from our lives. Not everything has to go. And the same thing in our society, but it's just giving you a foundation for the birth of a new world. Pluto's actions are ultimately about bringing about our healing, our deep regenerative abilities, our psychic abilities too. Pluto's very connected to psychism and just about helping us. In the sign of Aquarius, it's about helping the collective and helping the individual rise empowered. And it is about building our brightest and best future. One of the reasons why Pluto is so powerful is because it moves very slowly. And so there's just more of an impact when it gets to a point in your chart or a planet, because it tends to stay there for a long time. And it just, because it's the planet of the subconscious, it's going to bring things up. So in your own individual chart, there may be more things being aspected. And so people will have varied responses to Pluto too. I want to make sure to say that. Again, there's nothing can replace a consultation with a trained professional astrologer. And I do recommend people seek out me or another astrologer to help you with your chart, because once you know your chart and you can decipher it, you can start to see these things yourself and start to prepare for transits. You have a better comprehension of what is happening in your life. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with a client and who's going through some type of upheaval or something drastic in their life or something unpleasant. And I explain to them that there's a certain transit happening, which means a movement of a planet, and that in a certain period of time, it will end, and many of these effects of this planet should end with it. And I just can't stress how often my clients have expressed such relief in knowing that. And that's one of the major benefits if a person is going through a lot of struggles or challenges, to seek the advice of a good astrologist. But all in all, this will be good for us. It will be good for humanity. We don't have a choice. It's Pluto's in Aquarius going through this house for 20 years, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not. And honestly, it's just really better to surrender to Pluto. So some cautions for this time period. Pluto is intense, and the more you resist, the more intense it gets. It's like a pressure. The more you push against it, the more it's going to push back in equal measure, maybe more. Pluto may manifest as crisis, as obsession, as addictions, as challenges and power struggles. But the more you can drop into this and the more you can realize for yourself that these are the archetypes that Pluto naturally comes with, just watch yourself. Watch when you're going, again, obsessive thought comes up. Watch when you're going into cycles or when you're obsessing about something, or are you forming an addiction as opposed to a healthy habit? Are you resisting? So just watch for these things, just be on alert for them, and just be prepared to change, even if it's just one little habit a day. Pluto is about abuse of power. So be mindful of using power for the right reasons. Try to avoid getting into power struggles, and be watchful for people who are trying to power over you or manipulate you or control you, because these are themes too with Pluto going through Aquarius. And then we as the masses have to also watch for being controlled. Again, with the fear, in terms of your fear and resistance, it's a time to put energy into overcoming whatever fears or phobias you have. Also putting energy into shifting, into dropping, into change, into shedding old skin, old layers of self, belief systems, just letting it go. This will be crucial to navigate this period of time with as much grace, humility, and success as possible. Pluto is very polarizing, and people who have a lot of Pluto in their chart, Scorpio rising, sun, moon, stellium of Scorpio placement comes up off the top of my mind, but not just Scorpio. If you have planets that are connected to Pluto, you may come across as a very polarizing person to people. You may yourself be a polarizing person or draw out polarity in people. And be aware that if you're not dealing with your own polarity, your own trauma, your own drama, your own stuff, your own subconscious stuff, as it begins to show you what needs to be dealt with, many things can happen. One thing, you might project that onto others as opposed to just dealing with it. Another thing that might happen is that you might actually manifest people who have these very same qualities and are acting as a mirror to your qualities. This is kind of like the next level, when you first get the whisper in your ear, a subtle ear whisper, Pluto's showing you something and then you're not listening, and then it's a louder voice, and then it's a louder voice and you're still not listening, and then the other shows up that has all of the qualities that you need to deal with, but you keep putting back on the back burner because you don't have time. Today is not the right day. It's not important. We have many lists and reasons of why not to deal with our own tendencies and bad habits, limiting beliefs, but they're all just excuses in the end. Yes, but be aware that you might be like magnetizing people to you that are going to respond to you in the way that you need in order to overcome what's there buried in your subconscious that's being brought to you to see. But overall, beloveds, Pluto's transit through Aquarius, I see it as being long-term very positive for humanity. It's this, switch up that we need, the breakdown of constructs that are so old and so outdated that we just need to get rid of. And again, we can do it with ease and flow, or at least a certain bit of ease and flow, or we can resist, and it can be a nightmare, both on the individual level, as well on the collective level, as well with institutions, as well with governments, and you name it. It's going to all industries, and as well the medical industry, because medical and technology is just going to go through a massive transformation, because that is Aquarius. Well, beloveds, that's my breakdown for you. I want you to know that I will be doing with what I did with the nodes and just doing everybody's sign, starting with probably Aquarius rising, since Pluto is in Aquarius, and then I'll go down from there. So watch for your sign, and Remember, you can listen to your sign any way you want. For me, I read them from the rising, but some people don't know their rising. They do know their time of birth or their date of birth, so they can hone in on their sun, and most of the rest of the placements, maybe not exactly the moon. And you can listen to it for your sun, but then you have to churn your sun to, in order for it to make sense, for it to really work, you have to churn your sun to the first position, and then it's called a solar chart. And if you listen to your moon, you have to churn your moon to the first position, and that's called a lunar chart. And that's another video for another day, because it kind of does get a bit complicated. You do have to know what you're doing there. So it's, in terms of my reading, it's going to be the most accurate if you listen to your rising sign. And this is my message for us through Pluto. We're going to be okay. Pluto, also one of the archetypes. One of the animal images for Pluto is the phoenix, and it's going into the fire and being rebirthed through the ashes. And this is what we're doing. This is what humanity is doing. And I don't think, again, it doesn't help us to fear. It doesn't help us to fear change. What helps us is to move forward on the path that we need to be on with as much confidence, empowerment, obviously love and compassion, and faith and trust, with our own authentic voices and carrying our own unique light forward. And that's what I see in vision for all of us. And I hold that. I hold that consciousness that it's possible for all of humanity. So thank you, my beloveds, for being here with me. Thank you for listening to my Pluto and Aquarius talk. I really appreciate that you're here. I want to remind everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment, share this out, hit the notification bell. I would not want you to miss your upload. Stay blessed, beloved souls.